that volume, turn it way up, way up. Crank that volume, turn it way up, way up. Put your hands, put your city, put your fans, put your state up. Yo, crank that volume, turn.
Welcome to an all-new and improved Always Report video podcast, now airing in prime time on this emotionally charged Monday night as we salute the more than 2,000 Americans who tragically lost their lives in the 9/11 cowardly attack, and basically just pay homage to all of the firefighters, first responders, police officers that also risked their lives to make sure that our freedoms can stay right here in the US of A, the best country on planet Earth. My name is Brian Skowronski, and we've got a jam-packed show for you guys tonight, and by we, I mean myself and Big League Berardi, who's keeping his cool for now, but it is Brawl Week, so we'll see how long that lasts. Travis, of course, always in the West Virginia gear, and it's a big week for you, buddy, not just on the college ranks, but also for the NFL, so this is a big one.
Yeah, we'll talk about Brawl Week here in a little bit, but we are leading up to Monday Night Football. We talked in the last season of the podcast about how we were starting to do some bets with sports betting being allowed in Ohio. So I have some bets for tonight. You have about 20 minutes to get these in. If you want to roll it with me, go ahead, team ride or whatever. But Adam, if you can bring up what I got my bets for, this is on DraftKings. What I have, they actually have a 50% boost for any same game parlay tonight, and this is what it is: Jets, Buffalo Bills. So what I have for bets: Bills over 16.5 points. I think they're going to win the game, but I think they're going to score more than 16.5. Jets over 1.5 touchdowns. That's any touchdowns they can score by. So I think it's going to be something like 17-14. So over 1.5 touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers under 275 passing yards. He's in the new offense. I know he's a great quarterback, but I still think with that good Bills defense that he's not going to get up to 275. I mean, Mahomes didn't even get up to 250 pass yards. I think Rodgers is going to have a good night, but not good enough to get over 275. So under 274.5 pass yards. On the other side, Josh Allen, I think he's going to get 200 yards passing. So over 199.5. And then my last two, Allen Lazard. I think he's going to be wide receiver number 2 behind Garrett Wilson. He played in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers, so I think he's going to target him a few times. Only over 19.5 receiving yards. He can get that on one catch if he needed to. So that's why I have that. And then Gabe Davis on the other side, he's the number 2 behind Stephon Diggs. I think he is going to get over 29.5 receiving yards. And once again, he can do that in one pass. So there are my 6 plays. They're not that tough. I didn't go overboard with any of these, but Bills over 16.5 points, Jets scoring over 1.5 touchdowns, Aaron Rodgers under 274.5 pass yards, Josh Allen over 199.5 pass yards, Allen Lazard, the wide receiver for the Jets, over 19.5 receiving yards, and Gabe Davis, the wide receiver for the Bills, over 29.5 receiving yards. If you use your 50% boost for the Monday Night Football game, that is plus 570. A $10 bet gets you back 67. If you don't have the boost, it's plus 360, so a $10 bet gets you $46 back. Not a bad way to start off your week one, finishing it off on Monday Night Football with what I think are 6 easy bets to get you some money go into the week with.
Yeah, I just jumped on here with you, Travis, so I'm in the same boat as you. So I'm going to ride or die with that 50% boost. I dig it, and I think this is going to be one heck of a game. And especially on 9/11, we talked about, of course, it's in New York, Aaron Rodgers and all the storylines, the Bills.
Especially after what the Giants did last night.
Really America's team, so I'm in, baby.
Yeah, let's just squad ride. Anybody else want to do it as well? Let me know in the comments section. If you see this even later, my handle on Twitter. Let me know if you want or not. But let's make some money here this year. We'll do this every week.
I like it. All right, man, let's go ahead and kick off the show actually with a little tribute to Uncle Sam, quite literally in a lot of ways, because the 4th edition of the Stars, Stripes, and Lights event that was held in Seneca East High School this past Saturday was really a fantastic event. And I was happy to be a part of it. More than 2,000 runners get out there on the course, and they run at night, Travis. So this isn't no run-of-the-mill type of operation that they got going on. Matt Schock and the guys out there in Attica, they do something that's spectacular. It's unlike anything else that's basically in the entire region. Almost all the runners there say it's the only time they get a run at night all season long.
I tuned in.
It's really cool. Let's show you what that looked like on Saturday. They had multiple different events going on too. I mean, it wasn't just the running.
You got the fireworks.
You gotta have some
America.
fireworks, baby. Come on. This is America, and paying the tribute to 9/11 is actually kind of how this whole thing got underway. So they had a whole setup in the gym, too, that lets some of these younger kids understand what 9/11 really means, because none of them that are in high school were alive, of course, back in 2001. So there's a lot more to this spectacle than just the cross-country running, but there was plenty of that. Nearly 80 teams and more than 2,200 runners competed in 3 different divisions. Middle school through varsity athletes all ran the very well-lit 3.1-mile course that weaves its way around the campus, finishing inside of the football stadium that you see here. And there are hundreds and hundreds of fans that all line down the fence line. So as these runners get back into the stadium for the last 300-yard kick, they got a ton of momentum, because look at all the people that are out there supporting. And the best part about cross-country, Travis, I think, is that no matter who was out there, what team, even if it's your rival, you still wanted to see a lot of great times. And they're out there lining, supporting parents, coaches from all over, just making sure that they were voicing that this was a big-time event. That's
cross-country. You finish your race, and you're still out there cheering on your teammates. You're cheering on everybody else. You see somebody, trying to get to that PR, and everybody's rooting them on. It's a team sport, it's an individual sport, but it's a community sport, you could say, as well, because you're not only rooting for your person, but you're rooting for everybody to finish, because it's tough. It's hard doing what they do. Running out there kind of for fun, for a sport. So,
like
some of you kind of, I wouldn't do it. So I have respect for every single person that runs from number 1 to the last place runner. Mad respect, and I think these fans do the same.
Oh, there's no question about it. I mean, this picture right here is a great indicator. All of the fans that are lined up and around there, and there was some great food vendors going on, and like I said, it's just a full spectacle. So this is just your number 4. They had a dude parachute into the football stadium this year. Last year they had one of those full 100-yard red, white, and blue flags for America. There are dogs floating around looking like they just got dropped right out of a Spielberg movie from Back to the Future.
That is
Who
one
knows
awesome
what year
pup.
that dog's from? But it was a lot to take in, so we just wanted to kind of touch on how cool it was, how much fun we all had, and the runners out there too. Just about everybody PRs in that event, because they don't have to run under the sun, and they get all those fans behind them, man. The energy, it's palpable, you feel it, and it almost made me want to get out and run 3.1 miles afterwards. But after a 4-hour live stream and an hour ride back, we decided not to.
Kind of not safe to run through Mansfield at 1 a.m. anyway.
And especially not through my neighborhood.
Right.
All right, 4 weeks of high school football already in the books, man, if you can believe that.
You know what they say, fastest 10 weeks of the year.
Really is.
Yeah.
And once again, we had some ridiculous performances posted by teams and athletes throughout the area. So without further ado, let's take a look at the nominees for our Friday Night Phenoms, per always, presented by Knox Community Hospital. Here they are from Week 4. Here come your Friday Night Phenoms from Week 4, presented by Knox Community Hospital. We open up at a dimly lit Loudonville, where QB Matt sprang into action for the Redbirds, not only through the air, but like a UPS driver on the ground, racking up 196 yards and 3 touchdowns through the sky, while also delivering another $125 in the game-winning score in the ground game, as Loudonville holds off Mount Gilead 27-20 to move to 500 on the season. Folks, hold on to your hard hats, because we've got some home improvement magic coming right up. Monroeville superstar Evan Benford acting like a Benford. Get it? Well, he was simply unstoppable, bulldozing through the field with 205 yards on 19 carries, scoring 4 touchdowns. That's 4 times the excitement, just like when you upgrade from the Binford 2000 to the Binford 3000. Oh, but wait, there's more. Evan, like a true Binford tool, threw a touchdown pass and snagged an interception. Talk about a tool-time performance in the Eagles' first win over the Cougars since 2018. Phenom number 3 takes you out to Bob Wine Field, where it felt more like Independence Day than a chilly fall night, because Cubs senior standout Logan Toms was queuing up some fireworks displays the entire contest by popping the top on a 4-pack of touchdowns while running for a season-best 200 yards. But that's not all. Toms was also a beast on defense, snatching an insane interception to help close out a running clock victory over Warrensville Heights, the second straight home win for Lucas after an 0-2 start. Our 4th Phenom goes to Blake Elliott, who helped his pack of East Knox Bulldogs beat down Centerburg in front of his home fans at Chet Looney Stadium, where the cowbells ring and the air horns sing throughout the night sky. Elliott had a pair of touchdown runs and scooted for nearly 300 yards in an impressive 35-7 win over the Trojans, jumping right to the top of the K-Mac standings at 1-0. Our final nominee has no idea what it feels like to lose this season, because Norway's Dylan Smith was balling like an unbeaten in a smackdown of WCAL rival Hillsdale. This dude was doing some things on both sides of the ball, tasting pay dirt as both an offender and a defender, as he got loose into the zone nearly every single time he touched the rock to crush the Falcons 49-14. It's now time to vote for this week's Friday Night Phenom. Comment the number of your favorite performance below to decide who did it best. Of you out there watching live and free right now on the podcast, don't forget to put a little cherry on top. That's right, it is Double Scoop Monday. So if you comment the Phenom that you like best right here on the podcast, it counts not just for 1 vote, but 2. All right, guys, now it's time to see the wildest plays from Friday night on this week's edition of Top Plays. Alleyway all the way to the end zone on this incredible kick return score, dodging multiple Monroeville tacklers to help keep the Cougars in this game rumbling 92 yards for a special teams tutty. It's a 4-0 start for the Galleon Tigers thanks to explosive plays like this next nominee, and it's just the start of spooky season, but Lincoln Tyrell is getting ghost already. Spinning out of a would-be tackle and coasting 76 yards into pay dirt. We'll pumpkin spice it up for you a bit right now as you see Braxton Prosser on target toss into traffic, and Tyrell using the fast lane as he gets gone, covering 3/4 of the field for a Tiger score. Our next nominee features some QB on QB crime, and it's Lucas Sr. Grayson Jackson letting Warrensville Heights know they've been struck by a smooth criminal. The newest member of the now Jackson 6 taking the INT back for a Cubs TD. As easy as 1, 2, 3, victory. Vote number 3 for this nominee. Jesse Rings looks like he's doing the ring toss at nominee 4, throwing to Mason Tursky, who's giggling all the way to the bank as you see him outrun a double team to cash in his check for a 70-yard score, momentarily quieting down a ruckus East Knox crowd on the road. Our final nominee is going to play both defense and offense all in the same play. Dylan Smith skies for a Norwayne pick so high he nearly froze time there and left a bunch of Hillsdale Falcons looking like they were frozen in time as he coast 61 yards into the end zone, a massive game-changing play for the now 4-0 Bobcats. Those are your top play nominees. Vote below by submitting a comment for the best one. Reminder, 1 vote per person from week 4 of the high school football season. Get in that double dose right now on the podcast.
Pumpkin spice it up, Brian.
So I've been putting pumpkin in everything. My coffee this morning was pumpkin. I've got some creamer that's also double pumpkin-y, so it's a great mixture. I got some candies at the house that are pumpkin. I got some cream pies. I'm already hooked. But
It is September. It is September. It's that time.
Okay. I was going to say, usually my wife, she usually way jumps the gun, and she did. My house
Like
looks
mid-July,
like a haunted
right?
house.
Yeah.
Already. As soon as 4th of July ends, it's already spooky season for her. So we're fully ingrained right now in the fall sports season.
Once you hit September, especially the second week, it's officially, I think, time to break out the flannels and all the warm things and pumpkins and whatnot. It's okay.
Yeah, I like to get my Paul Bunyan on sometimes.
Yeah.
But at the end of this week, Travis, we're going to be halfway through the regular season for high school football. So what I think we should do here for the first time ever, let's see who's trending in what direction on our first ever edition of Who's Hot, Who's Not. I'll let you go first, Travis.
Okay.
You want to start with the hot or the cold?
I think it's better to get the bad out before the good. So we're going to go with the not. And this is a team that we had high hopes for in the MOAC coming into this year. They have speed, they have depth, they have a decent offensive line, but they're 1-3. And they're riding a 3-game losing streak. That is the Clear Fork Colts.
Yeah.
A big win against Lucas in double overtime in week 1. You thought, these are two really good teams. Whoever's going to win is going to get some major bonus points. Well, Clear Fork is getting some major bonus points because Lucas now, like I always say, the best 2-2 team in Division 7.
Lucas!
They're getting them the bonus points, but they haven't done anything since. Yeah, they played a tough Granville squad but couldn't score. They had a lead against Lexington in week 3, ended up blowing that, losing 28-7, and then against a very good Galleon Tiger squad, they go down. They score the first 3 points. You think, okay, they're getting right into it, but then they do nothing afterwards and lose 35-3. Brian, you and I, we were kind of baffled at this squad as well because they have the pieces. They just haven't been able to put it together yet.
They've definitely been a disappointment. They're the defending kings of the MOAC, went undefeated in the league last year. To have 3 straight losses, of course, is tough.
And my second not team, it's the Madison Rams. You're thinking, well, this team's been down for so long, but last year they were competitive with head coach Scott Valentine at the helm. They lost 10-7 to Shelby. They were in it with River Valley until late. They lost by Ontario only by 2 scores. There's some games that they were in it and lost late. Well, then, Coach Valentine goes back to Ashland, and the woes just continue. They've scored 4 touchdowns total. 41-14 lost to Shelby. They were blanked by River Valley in Ontario this year. And then they put up a fight against Worcester, but lost 27-14 to a Worcester team that's kind of down this season. So Madison maybe started trending up a bit last year, but they're all the way back down again this year. It's crazy to see what Madison's not been able to do over the last 10 years.
Yeah, this is a team since probably 2014 or 15.
Before I even made it to Mansfield.
And even when they had Tyrell Ajon and some of those awesome athletes like Kyle Jackson, they still actually weren't that great in terms of the win-loss records.
They've had one major win, and it was that upset of Mansfield Senior a couple years ago.
The COVID year
10.
when the season was already over. It was a very strange whole compilation of events that led to the Rams getting that win.
Yeah. All right, bad's out of the way. Let's get to the good. My 2 hot teams. First team out of the Firelands Conference, a team you saw knock off Crestview for the first time in a while, live and free, and that is the Monroeville Eagles. And, man, they got themselves a rushing attack between quarterback Benfer and Roeder, the running back. Benfer has run for over 125 yards in each of their 4 games.
Wow.
Their lone loss in overtime to a Calvert team that's state-ranked and undefeated. They lost by at least 3 in that one. Their running back Roeder, 100 yards in 3 of 4 contests. This is a team that they can play ball. They have a great offensive line. You know Monroeville football, too. They love to run the ball. They have a big line. This is what they're doing once again. And they got a couple weeks, I think 2 weeks from now. They play South Central this week. Then they get Lucas at home. That's going to be a big game. And then a couple weeks later, they're at Western Reserve, which could be for the Firelands Conference Championship. But Monroeville, the Eagles are back, baby, not only on the volleyball court in the fall, but on the gridiron as well. So there is my first hot team, the Monroeville Eagles. Welcome back. And my second team, they don't just got the juice. They got the pickle juice, and that is the Galleon Tigers. Roll the footage of these Tigers behind Gabe Ivey, Braxton Prosser, Carson Frankhouse, Elijah Chafin and company. Get this. Braxton Prosser, quarterback, through 3 weeks, 163 yards, 3 touchdowns.
What?
And then at Galleon's win against Clear Fork, he just doubles it up. 6 of 11, 188 and 3 touchdowns.
Better.
They start going. Gabe Ivey, 46 catches, 164 and a touchdown through 3 weeks. Well, he just does 15 catches, 120 and a touchdown against Clear Fork. So this is a team that they're relying on their defense. They're getting big wins. They knocked off Cary.
Huge.
They had the win against Clear Fork as well. Undefeated, making their way towards the top of the MOAC. But like we say, they have one of the toughest conferences in the area. They get some wins. They get some quality wins. They're going to be towards the top of that region, which they're going to need to do because they're in the region with Shelby, with Clear Fork, with Van Wert, with Bellevue, teams like that, Glenville as well. So more wins they get, I think they are an MOAC contender. And one of those reasons why I said about the pickle juice, every Friday morning, as you see footage right here, they drink pickle juice because it's supposed to help with the cramps. Well, I think they got something going on here because they've been drinking the pickle juice and they've been winning games. So I'm going to say this to you, Galleon fans. Have me out, I don't know, on a Friday morning, afternoon. I will drink pickle juice with the boys just to see how maybe I get some good juju going into my call on Friday night or whatever. So
yeah, we'd hate to have you cramp on the call up in the box.
Especially with some of the games coming up. I mean, you don't want to cramp during that. I had some cramps at Loudonville, but that wasn't because of, my own cramping, but
that menstruation sometimes.
Yeah.
Travis. Shout out Don Hunter for the video here of the pickle juice and the kids. They look like they're enjoying it very much.
But you guys want to come out? We'll videotape it. I will drink pickle juice with the team as well because Galleon, hey, this is a fun team to watch.
They are, and I think this video is pretty fun to watch because, man, look at the reactions. I actually drink pickle juice for fun, not for any particular reason. I'm not doing it because I'm going out and playing in a sporting event or a competition. It's just because I think it tastes good. So I'm a little stunned to see how stunned these guys are, kind of the sour faces, like they just popped a warhead.
Oof, warheads, don't that's like flashbacks of grade school right there with the warheads. It's not a good taste. I know adults drink pickle juice with a certain certain alcoholic liquid as well, and they're called picnic shots. It's like a picnic in your mouth. So,
yeah,
this shouldn't be too bad.
This doesn't look like any kind of a picnic for these Tigers in the
chuck
den
it
there.
down. Hey, but it's got them at 4-0. Every time they've done it, they've won. So, hey.
Speaking of 4-0, Travis, and speaking of the MOAC, I want to stick with the hot list here.
Okay.
And you want to talk about smoking hot? How about the 4-0 Ontario Warriors under their second-year head coach? Let's show you some of the highlights of these Warriors. These dudes, they're off to a smoking good start because after knocking off their rivals in Lexington at their place on opening night,
walk-off field goal.
It's been 3 straight running clock victories for the Warriors. Shutouts of Centerburg and Madison in weeks 2 and 3. Set up a 56-point explosion against River Valley on Friday night. This is a total team from top to bottom, outscoring their opponents. You ready for this stat? 146-35 during that 4 wins, 0 losses campaign that they got going on. Probably one of the sexiest stadiums in all of North Central Ohio, too. So there's a ton to like about this team. Definitely on the hot list right now as we're approaching the midway point of the season.
Remember, they're now down to Division III, Region 10. They're fourth.
That's tough.
That's a tough region. They're fourth in that region. I think we should have signs in our yard saying extend Eckert. He should get that extension, I mean, he's been doing a great job this year with this squad.
Well, pump the brakes because he was 3-0 last year, and then he went
4-0.
from the hot list
4-0
into the back of the paper with some of those losses. But for now, they've at least taken that next step because, like I said, they were 3-0 last year, now 4-0.
They're better than what they were mid-year last year. I think that last stretch, they beat Shelby in Week 10, then had to face a really tough team in the playoffs, but they made that playoff run. That just, got the momentum going, and they're continuing it this year. They know what they're doing over there in Ontario again.
All right. Let's keep the Enfuego juices flowing here. And I'm going to take some flack for this because this next team that I'm going to go with, they're just 500 on the season, but I'm rolling with Scott Spittler.
The best Division 7 team at 2-2, baby.
Yeah, baby. They might have started 0-2, and yeah, they lost to Clear Fork, but that was double overtime against a Division 4 opponent, followed by a late-game loss at 3-1 Hillsdale. Since then, Lucas has slaughtered back-to-back teams on their home turf by a count of 90-21. They held D4 Warrensville Heights from Cleveland to just 14 points. They had a bunch of big boys and some athletes. And then they handed D5 Smithville their only loss of the year by a count of 41-7. Travis, you already know, you already said it. The best 2-2 team in Division 7 in the state just might be wearing orange and black on Friday nights.
Yeah, this team, like you just said, 2 tough losses. Just a bit of an underthrown pass away from knocking off Clear Fork. And then, they had it against Hillsdale, but Jack Fickus and company just put together one heck of a drive at the end of the game there. Yeah, Hillsdale lost, but they lost to the number 8 team in Division 5, I believe, in Norway. Norway, really good team. So
Falcons pretty good.
Yeah, Falcons are pretty good, but the Lucas Cubs are just as good. And like I said, in 2 weeks' time, I cannot wait to see them take on Monroeville, because not only is that going to be a great game, but for me, playoff points, baby, are on the line for that one.
All right, so the Cubs are hot. Travis, you want to know who's not right now?
Please, let me know.
Well, I've got some good friends here that work at the OH Report, and they're not going to like to hear this, but it's definitely the Crestview Cougars making it on the not hot list right now, because the 3-time defending Firelands Conference champions, they just haven't looked like they're a defending champ. It's,
well,
it's
they've
kind of
graduated
like Ali
a lot.
way past his prime when he just fought for like a little bit too long after he should have hung it up. That's kind of what Crestview looks like right now.
It's a rebuilding year, I think.
They're having some major tackling issues. That's what I noticed when we watched the tape of the Cougars over these last couple of weeks. They let Dane Nauman put together a whole highlight reel just in one half of football. That dude went for over 300 yards and 4 scores on him, and a 50-burger, too. Then you drop the league opener against Monroeville, who they might be back. I don't want to discount them, but that was an 0-10 team last year who hadn't defeated the Cougars since our boys G and Storm were in school over there in Cougar Country. So they put up 46 points on them in the process there. Crestview's only win came against an East Knox team who's decent. I mean, they're 2-2, but again, not world beaters in any type of regard. So they're kind of on the cold pile right now, I would say. And they got Lucas coming to their place next, so they could stay in that ice bath for a little bit longer.
Yeah, you hate to see it there, but I mean, they graduated so many all Ohioans last year. You thought maybe they would regress a little bit, but they've regressed a little bit more than we expected. Hopefully, they can right the ship and get some wins down the line. We'll see, but this year, not the year for the Cougars.
Not so far. All right, another team that I think that we had kind of high expectations for that just really haven't fit the bill. How about the Upper Sandusky Rams? Wasn't this supposed to be the greatest show on turf? That's what we were hearing coming into the season.
Yeah.
They had Caden Holman slanging it to all those weapons, and while Caden has thrown for almost 1,000 yards, he's kind of done his thing so far, the Rams have no consistent rushing attack to speak of. He leads the team actually with 260 yards on the ground, and they just gave up 46 points to Blake Foose in Seneca East after losing 41-6 to Galleon. Lucky for the Tigers, they get Bucyrus next, so I'm thinking that they're going to be trending in a positive direction, having a winless team on the schedule. But at the same time, I really thought that Upper Sandusky was going to be a team that we were going to be talking about, still in the mix for the Northern 10 Conference crown towards the end of the season. Instead, they're throwing pick sixes at end of games, getting blown out on the road, and it's been kind of tough to keep up with this team.
Yeah, I know. Even after that loss to Northmore in week 1, Northmore's a really good team. You think, okay, they were putting up points. They were doing well, but then they ran into the buzzsaw that is Galleon. They weren't able to put it. They got into a shootout. The defense is an issue a little bit for Upper Sandusky as well. They have to get into shootouts, and they have to outscore their opponent that way. Until the defense really starts picking things up, it's not looking good at Upper Sandusky.
Lucky for all of these teams right now, they still got 6 more weeks.
Break the ship, make
the
a run.
The hot teams can stay hot, but then the cold teams, never count them out. We saw Lucas last year get into the postseason with just 4 regular season wins, and they were this close to making it back to the regional championship game.
Yeah.
So just because you're on our naughty list right now doesn't mean that you can't make the nice list. And speaking of being nice, how about Jack Fickus? I'm told he jumped on and he voted for the Phenom of the Week. Not for himself. He thinks Logan Toms was the best player. Well, I guess he wasn't nominated this week.
Well, still.
But still cool.
I think he voted for Logan Tom's punt return against them as top play a couple weeks ago as well. Real recognized real.
Hey,
that's great. Logan Tom's is one. I mean, we were talking yesterday on our random watching football feed that he's one of the electric players in North Central Ohio. Just everything that he can do offensively and defensively.
Yeah, it's awesome to see him healthy. I mean, that's a kid, basically a 4-year starter at Lucas. And even at a small school, the Cubs, they have pretty much every dude at the school go out for football. So it's very competitive to get into that backfield. Yeah, for sure.
And they work month in and month out. Even not during football season, they play for those belts every week or every month and everything. Coach Spittler, he has a program down there.
Yeah, let's talk about some other programs, but in a different sport now. Let's talk about the beautiful game and some area soccer. We've taken in quite a few matches here since the season kicked off about 4 or 5 weeks ago, Travis. So
It's almost draw time, isn't it?
it's crazy to think that we're about a month away
Yeah.
from the tournament draw and about 6 weeks away from actually getting into the postseason. So we're just going to share some collective thoughts here about what we've seen right now in area soccer, who's caught in your eye, and who you think has some real potential as we get closer and closer to the playoffs. And I hate to bore you, but I feel like it's kind of the same name, same team, same programs with the same head coaches doing all those good things that you would expect, right?
Yeah. You're talking boys. I'm guessing you're talking the Lexington Minutemen. They are continually rolling right now. I saw them against
Undefeated.
Ontario on their opening night. Wasn't Football Friday night. They actually gave themselves an extra week, both teams, but they were just dominating. As you see here, a 3-1 victory over the Ontario Warriors. But there are some other teams as well. I think Lexington.
they beat them 4-0.
It was 3-1.
Oh.
It was 3-1. I was there. I was there. I did the highlight. I know.
For the boys?
Yeah, boys.
Oh, I thought it was worse.
No. 3-1. They scored all three in the first half as well, and Ontario finished scoring out in the second half. But that was first night. It's a rivalry match, so you might think different. But
Yeah.
they beat an Ashland team already.
Right.
This is a team that they got high hopes. They want to maybe get past where they were last year. They had those hopes last year, got knocked off late. It seems they have aspirations to make it down to Columbus, but then they lose in the last seconds in regionals and state semifinals and things like that. Can they get over the hump this year? I believe they can. But not only them. I think there's another boys team
Who's lurking?
in Division 4 team we'll have this week
Okay.
on the OH Report, and that is the Mansfield Christian Flames.
Oh, wow.
They made it to the regional last year. They won,
did?
Or was districts? Up at
No,
Tiffin.
they made it to the regionals.
Yeah. Lost to Ottoville. I called that game, but there's so many games I've called. Lost 1-0, I believe, to Ottoville, but this is a team that has a lot back. They have their top scorers back. They have a good defense back. I think they're another team that can make a run, make Jesse Ryder happy and get back down to Columbus, hopefully. And
Am I happy for him?
I love that picture up in the press box.
Now,
we'll
that's
talk
interesting
about
that you're actually talking about Mansfield Christian in terms of being like this. I know they get to compete in Division 3, and we're looking at the playoffs way down the road. They were just on a 3-game skid, losing to some tough competition. At least 2 of the matches were, and they got a nice win. They're probably going to get healthy tomorrow against Crestview. You're probably going to see quite a few different goals and different guys getting involved. But as far as their expectations coming into the season, sitting right now at 500 or below, I think the Flames have kind of underperformed what we thought. New head coach, though.
Yeah, maybe. But, they always stack their regular season schedule as well. They beat a Clear Fork team that's tied atop the MOAC 1-0 at Clear Fork. They have some wins, but I think, especially for a team like Mansfield Christian, this regular season is to just get ready for a postseason run. You play against some better teams just so you can be ready for that postseason run, and I believe Mansfield Christian, at least a chance at a district championship, but maybe, they get on a roll, they get healthy, like you said. I think they could make a run as well.
I think I kind of like a different team from Mansfield, and I like the Madison Rams.
Okay.
Kind of lurking. I don't see a whole lot of people talking about them, not a lot of newspaper clippings. All they've done is stayed undefeated so far. They beat teams like Clear
State-ranked.
Fork, Vermilion. They are starting to creep in and get some votes for the coaches. And, they've only allowed 8 goals in 7 matches. That's what I like when you talk about, like, a consistent program in terms of winning. If you're only giving up a goal per game, you're going to be in the competition right to the very end. They don't score a ton, right around 3.5 goals per game.
Still not bad when you have a good defense.
But we're going to find out about them.
Yeah.
Coming up here in a couple of weeks, they get to play Worcester, and then right after that, they play Lexington. So I think those might be back-to-back games for them on the calendar. We'll find out what the Rams are really made of. But for the girls, it's a 2-pony race, right? I mean, we've got
that's why I'm
Ontario,
letting you talk about it.
and we've got Clear Fork. And easily, I think these are the top 2 girls teams that we have in the area. The Lady Warriors are still undefeated. They had a draw with New Albany. But outside of that, you look at Hattie Yukovic and then Addie Pittman. These are the 2 premier players in North Central Ohio. Don't tell me about anybody else. I don't want to hear about other girls because they play the best of the best. And all they've done is combined for 19 goals, 6 assists. Sarah Hendricks is a beast in the net. She's got 21 saves so far. So with wins over Ashland, St. Mary's Memorial, Lexington, Clear Fork already, Ontario has earned their number 8 ranking, and that's why they're stunting on girls out there. Who scores off of a corner kick for a game winner? Come on, man. That's just a sophomore. That girl's special. But the team that they beat in Clear Fork, I think that they've kind of closed the gap. They didn't get the win over Ontario, but they played them as good as you possibly can. They've got wins over Bishop Hartley, Bexley. They beat Madison, too, to start off the year 2-1. They hadn't beat the Rams in, 6 years or something crazy. So I do feel like Clear Fork with Brindley Barnett and now Mel Bluebaugh, who
she scored against Ontario.
She didn't feel to me until this season like she had a real competitive edge to her. Now when she's out there, I feel like Mel's playing to win the game or win her one-on-one matchups. So with a couple of the younger pieces like that now coming into their own, I think Clear Fork could give Ontario some problems when they meet again in the tournament, because inevitably I see these two on a collision course.
In the district championship game.
It's going to
be the district championship game.
No question.
Yeah, those are the two teams. You'll probably have maybe, you'll have Madison. You'll probably have Lexington in that district semifinal.
Probably.
Maybe another team sneaking by one of those teams. But it's going to be Clear Fork and Ontario. And is this finally the season that Larry Atkinson gets that district championship?
Well, he won a bunch in a row until these last 6 years, and then Taylor Huff kept him on the sideline. Lexington with the upset. Madison got him a couple years before that. So I know Larry's been probably itching to get back to that district championship and then get over the hump and get back to regionals. They thought they could do it last year. Yeah. This year, I think they might be even better.
Update. On the first drive for the Jets, Aaron Rodgers helped off the field. Zach Wilson's in. So that under 275 bet is hitting right now, baby. But yeah,
ka-ching,
welcome
ka-ching.
to New York, Aaron Rodgers. It's 0-0 halfway through the first, but let's continue. Told you, bet the under on that passing. Oh my, that's gonna hurt some people's fantasy teams.
Well, I mean, things happen during Brawl Week, Travis, of course. So for all of our viewers that pretty much don't know what that means outside of some that have jumped the fence over there from West Virginia, we try to keep them out. We just can't. What is Brawl Week, and what does it mean to you?
Well, if you all remember Labor Day weekend, the pigskin, I had no voice because I was in Pittsburgh for the West Virginia-Pitt rivalry. That was the first time in 11 years that those two teams met. Over 100 times has West Virginia played Pitt. They're only 80 miles separated, so the rivalry, because of conference realignment and whatnot, and here's highlights of that game. Great game. Pitt won by 7.
It was like the game of the year last year. One of.
Yeah, and if it wasn't for our wide receiver, going all bobbly at the end, we'd probably win that game, but I digress. These two teams just back and forth since the 1800s playing each other, but because of realignment, they left the Big East. They hadn't played Pitt since they won the Big East in 2010, but back here, they played last year. They're going to play this year, take a little bit of a break, but they hope to get back. But this is Ohio State, Michigan for us in West Virginia and in Pittsburgh. Okay. This is that big of a rivalry, and it's one of the top 10 matchups coming into Week 3 in that non-conference. You have some of those lower ones. I know College Game Day and Fox Big Noon Monday kickoff are out there in Colorado because of all that's going on with the Buffaloes right now, even though they're going to probably roll over Colorado State by 60. They just wanted to be out there because of Coach Prime and whatever. But the game is in Morgantown. That's why it's going to be on Saturday Night Football on ABC, 7:30 on Saturday night. But Mountaineers bouncing back after Coach Franklin, Penn State, had to run up the score with 6 seconds left just so they look good on their resume, even though they're probably going to get steamrolled by Ohio State and Michigan. Yeah, that's karma coming for you, Franklin. Anyway, they bounced back. They put up 50-plus against Duquesne, another Pittsburgh school, to get ready for this one, and Pitt had a bad loss on Saturday as well. So I look forward to watching this game with my friends back in Chester, West Virginia.
Brawl Week.
But you got a game coming up as well. It's not as big. Not as big. You guys, Western Kentucky for the Buckeyes? But
Buckeyes got Western Kentucky coming to town.
You're undefeated. What do you think? A 28-point victory against Tressel's Youngstown State squad.
Okay, so this is me talking as...
We talked yesterday about
this. Not like a normal Buckeye fan. I feel like I'm a little bit more subjective than the rest of Buckeye Nation, the true Buck nuts out here, because I've noticed this since I moved to Ohio in 2006, that there are just these wild grandeur ideas of what Ohio State football should be, and that anybody keeping within 70 points of us is just not a good enough victory. So you look back at Week 1 against Indiana, 23-3. You held a Big Ten opponent on the road to just 3 points, and the sky was falling, according to a lot of the people on the Facebook and Twitter X, all the different radio call-in shows. They couldn't believe how inept the offense looked. I get it. Kyle McCord only threw for 239 yards, and he got picked off in that game. But we held the Hoosiers to 82 passing yards and only 71 rushing yards. Cade Stover had 5 catches in that game, almost 100, broke one off for 49. And then week 2, you're looking at the highlights here against Youngstown State on Saturday. 28-point victory. I know it's against your baby brother. I get all that. But we held the Penguins to 234 yards in the game. Marvin Harrison Jr. finally starting to find himself this season. 7 catches, $160, 2 touchdowns, including that long one to start things off. And both McCord and Devin Brown played, so the fans got what they wanted.
Yeah.
Kyle McCord, great. 258 yards, 3 touchdowns. Pretty clean game. Devin Brown, 7 of 13, 101 yards. So my thoughts are, man, pump the brakes a little bit, Buckeye fans. You're 2-0. You're about to be 3-0. And I think that we're going to get a big win, of course, against Western Kentucky. But just because you're not winning 70-7, none of that matters. It really doesn't. You look at the season that we won the national championship with, Tressel. Every single week was a heart attack, but we still went undefeated.
Holy Buckeye.
The Holy Buckeye game against Purdue and all the games. So just, it's fine.
The extra flag against Miami.
Loaded with talent at every position. You look at the defensive front.
Oh, yeah, you have so many playmakers.
And I think through 2 games, this is the least amount of yards that the Buckeyes have allowed in a really long time. So the defense is great. Let the quarterbacks start coming into their own. We got a couple more weeks before we really get into some tough competition.
Absolutely.
When you look at we got one more week, and then we got to head and take on Notre Dame.
That's right.
But it's fine. It's fine.
You're giving 3 weeks to get your quarterback accustomed to the system. You got a new quarterback, but you have so many playmakers around him that, I mean, it's like Friday Night Lights. You just got to get Boobie the ball. Just let him spin. You just got to get it in the vicinity of Marvin Harrison Jr., not Marvin Jones. He's another good wide receiver, but no, Marvin Harrison Jr. and the likes of Cade Stover. Just get it in their vicinity. They will make the catch. Just don't throw a pick. Don't throw the bad interception. Good handoffs. You're going to be fine.
Yeah, guys like Avuka. I mean, we got so many NFL stars on the team. It's ridiculous. So I don't love the running game just yet. Only averaging about 103 or 30 yards per game there. That's going to keep going up. I feel like there's a debate, too. Is Trey Henderson actually the best in the backfield because we've got Mayan Williams and some of the younger guys? That's a good problem to have.
Yes, it is. You just get better with
fine,
time, too.
Buckeyes fans.
Yeah, you're winning your games. That's all you need to do.
All right, let's go into the NFL now, Travis, before we kind of put a bow on this first podcast back and just give some fresh takes about what we saw in the Sunday that was. And that's
Can we
right,
get our
baby.
teams out of the way? Yeah, please. Go ahead.
Victory Monday for Browns fans. We have not felt this in a really long time. Back-to-back wins in week 1 for the first time since 99. Since we came back in 99, and for the first time since the early 90s that they've been able to do this. And Joe Burrow, he gets the bag.
He looked bad.
He don't want to come spend that in Cleveland.
No.
It's not a place where he has a good time, so I wasn't surprised at all. I was a little bit shocked that after he had no preseason that a lot of the media pundits out there picked the Bengals. You look stupid, egg all over your face because Deshaun Watson, Myles Garrett, Nick Chubb and the boys, I think they're for real this year. And sorry, Jack Conklin, for getting knocked out of the game. That was a big loss for
You're
us.
out for the season now.
Yeah, an all-pro going out there at that left tackle.
You hate to see that.
We got a rookie in there in DeJuan Jones, at least a Buckeye, so we'll see.
Got to have to face one T.J. Watt head-to-head.
A lot of promise. But I love what we saw from him.
Well, they look good.
Joe Burrow, 82 yards, sacked twice, including on a 4th down in his own territory.
That's something that Steelers and Browns fans can come together and laugh at, is the fact that Joe Burrow did not look good.
He looked awful. The Bengals as a unit didn't look good. And then Jamar Chase eating his words, calling us elves out there, saying Cleveland is Cleveland. He tried to have his little Juju Smith-Schuster moment with the talking, and it didn't work out, bro. You had 3 catches. You did nothing. Jamar, you've won 1 game against Cleveland, period. You're 1-4 against us. I don't know why he keeps flapping his gums. We have owned the Bengals, and man, did it feel good.
It's really good for you guys, too, because we talked yesterday on that random stream that winning conference games at home is going to be big because, one, you're going to get the tiebreaker. I still think this could be – well, no, I don't, because the – look at that. Burrow, right? I don't know. The Ravens, with their injuries, I don't think they're going to be doing much, but then you have the other 3 teams with the Steelers, the Bengals, and the Browns. May be a tie atop the AFC North, and those tiebreakers may come down to see who gets the division championship, who's going to be a wild card, seeding, and everything like that. So that is a very big Week 1 win. And now you come in Pittsburgh for a Steeler team that got their butts whooped by San Francisco. I'm not quite freaking out yet because I think San Francisco is a really good team. You and I both. Josh Purdy.
Dude, it's the best roster in football.
Purdy looked Purdy. And with Christian McCaffrey as well, they just completely dismantled the Steelers, although Kenny Pickett did not look good. He was missing throws. He looked like he went to Pitt. Wait, he did go to Pitt.
Ooh.
Right there. Anyway,
boy.
He needs to stop playing scared. After he got all that, he got cocky through the preseason because he's throwing touchdowns in the preseason against number 2 and number 3 guys.
And all the people on ESPN and NFL Network anointing him and Pickens, and it's going to be the best combination in football.
It still might be. It's just they got to play better than Week 1. You get the Browns, who are riding high right now, but T.J. Watt did his thing. 3 sacks already.
Always.
He's tied with 80.5 sacks. I think 90 games. He had something like
he's a mutant.
90 games less than James Harrison did to get those. He is
check him
crazy.
for bionic limbs.
He's gonna
and
have
PEDs.
He's gonna have to make some defensive plays once again for us to stay in this because it's gonna be a dogfight. It's gonna be one of those old school rivalry Browns Steelers games that I always talked about. I said I hope the Browns get good against. We can have that rivalry back. Well, it's gonna be back. I ain't gonna be watching the game with you though this time. I'm gonna be off by myself. You're gonna be off by yourself just so we can keep it up. No stream. But yeah, it's gonna be something. Other than our teams though,
a couple surprising scores.
How about the Miami Dolphins? How about Tua?
I'll let you
and
talk about
Tyreek
them. Yeah,
Hill?
go ahead.
Go back and forth. But we were down here watching that game. They looked good offensively.
Well,
and
they got the fastest offensive unit
It's
known to man, basically. And Tyreek Hill, I mean, he's a human cheetah.
he is. And they even have Waddle that caught. I think he had 60 or 70 yards receiving, but they didn't need him because Tyreek just kept getting open with that speed. Tua's just throwing dime after dime right in there with them, and they were able to pull off the victory. But Dolphins offensively looked good. Gave up some points to the Chargers, but when you have that offense, you're allowed to.
Yeah, I got some surprising scores that I jotted down here, Travis. I'll get through these quick. Buccaneers over Vikings.
Yeah, that was Baker Mayfield.
Congratulations, Baker, getting your first ever win
over
in
Kirk,
Week 1.
over G-Man's.
Because they don't really do that in Cleveland when you were there.
Over G-Man's Vikings, though. I was kind of disappointed in Kirk Cousins.
Oh, me too. Kirk Jefferson was the
Jefferson had
combination
150
in the
yards
first
receiving,
half.
though.
He had most of that in the first half,
Yeah.
though. I think just 2 catches over the last 2 quarters. So they need to figure out when it's winning time how to get it done. They did a season ago.
Yeah.
They pulled some rabbits out the hat and at the end. Weren't able to do that. The Packers smashed the Bears in Chicago. Love was spreading the love. And Justin Fields not looking like he really is ascending. I'm not saying he regressed, but if he wasn't taking off and scrambling outside of the pocket, he looked a little bit lost.
They looked all right in the first half, but then the Packers made adjustments on him, and they did nothing in the second. Kind of like what Geno Smith's squad did in the second half against the Rams.
Rams win big. And can we stop with all the Geno Smith is a potential MVP candidate? He was in the top 7 in the preseason.
You showed a lot of love for him last year.
Stop it.
You showed a lot of love for him last
Geno
year.
Smith. He's competent, but he's not a guy that you can ride on and think that he's an MVP type of candidate. Let's just put that baby to bed after Week 1. He's not getting back in the conversation, period. I will be interested to see if Seattle actually ends up being in the conversation as a playoff team.
Well,
they lost at home.
They had 5 yards in the second half. They couldn't do anything. I mean, it was baffling.
It's a West Virginia quarterback running your team. What do you expect? Ball week.
He did a lot last year with the team. It was baffling to see what they did in the second half because he did good in the first half. Had that nice touchdown before the break. He had over 100 yards passing, and then they just weren't able to do anything. They did lose both their tackles in the second half. That might have had something to say. There we go. Yeah, you're darn right that is. Adam bringing that out of the attic. That was a score. How bad are the Giants?
Ugh. It just felt like it was bad break after bad break after bad break, to be honest. I watched almost every single snap of that game until the end of the third quarter, until it was just laughable. If they make that field goal at the beginning of the game when they drive right down the field,
snap it over the quarterback.
Who knows what happens? Instead, it turns into 6, and then it felt like a snowball effect. So bad games are going to happen to everybody. I fully expect the Bengals actually to bounce back and probably be
easily
maybe the best team.
They were
in the
0-2
AFC
last
North.
year, and look what they did.
Oh, but Week 1 it didn't go so well. And the final thing, you know how Stephen A. Smith just really gets a kick out of the Cowboys losing? Broncos fans. And Sean Payton's debut at home in the Mile High City, you let the Raiders come in and beat you with Jimmy G. That was great. They lose by 1. Oh my gosh. When I was back in Denver a couple of weeks ago, everybody's talking about the Broncos and how they're back. Russell Wilson, he's going to be back in the conversation to be the best quarterback in the league. So to see that all falling apart so early, and I do think that the sky's going to continue to fall there in the Mile High City, it's not going to go well. You guys are going to be a 4 or 5 win team. I don't care who your new coach is. That's just the Broncos. The Broncos is the Broncos right now.
I love the fact that I think you hate the Broncos just as much or more than you hate the Steelers. He's from Colorado.
Disgusting.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, I know that we're well into Monday Night Football, Trav.
So
I would like to watch the game. Give us a quick update.
Possible ankle injury for Mr. Rogers. Not in his neighborhood today. I think he's not going to return. 3-0 Bills, 2:15 left in the first. Zach Wilson, though, just threw to Alan Lazard for 22 yards. That bet looking much better. Other than that, though, a defensive. There you go. Alan Lazard. Boom. 1 catch. Check that off the list. Rogers under 274.5. Check that off the list. It's now where points are at a minimum so far. But Bills, they're right on track. Just 2 touchdowns. Jets get 2 touchdowns. We're looking good so far. We're checking things off the list already. So we looking good. And, I'll post on socials my bet for next week because, well, we'll have this coming up too.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the game.
Every Monday night here on the podcast for you guys, we're going to be unveiling our top plays of the week, our Friday night Phenoms. We're going to be gumming it up, me and Travis, back and forth about what we saw from the last couple of weeks in sports. Do some previews for you. We're going to get some coaches, some athletes to come in here. So this is just the start of the rebirth and new beginnings.
And we'll do it a little bit earlier too. We were just trying to get everything perfect for week 1, but we'll start a little bit earlier, go up to about kickoff of Monday Night Football. But we're a lot of viewers tonight too. There's a lot of comments in here. Billy Caudill, nice to see you. Charles Toms, a coach of the best 2-2 team in Division 7. I told him, actually, I went up to him at Hillsdale after the game. I said, you guys are the best 0-2 team in Division 7. You're going to be fine. He said, yeah, I think you're right. And
he knows.
I'm a prophet, I guess, or something like that. But keep on winning, Lucas. You guys are good. Jack Fickus, Ziggs, Andrew Ziegler, you know him.
I do.
Good buddy of ours. Billy Caudill, he just said that pumpkin spice it up for us. And he also said Galleon is caliente hot.
Okay.
So,
hey, Zig, if you want to stop by after work tonight, I got some pumpkin spice at the crib that we can throw down in a little elixir here for the rest of Monday Night Football. Let's get it, boy. Well, let's go watch, shall we?
Yeah, let's go watch.
All right, guys. Hey, thank you for tuning in. We got a couple of live streams coming up tomorrow over at Mansfield Christian. They're going to be taking on Crestview. It is senior night for the girls. That goes down at 5 o'clock. And my class that I'm teaching on Thursdays over there, it's going to be their debut as a production unit. So tune in for that and plenty of action all week on the OH Report, including, I think, almost a record number of games for us coming up on Friday.
Got a big one in Danville, too.
Lots.
A lot of
games.
conference implications coming up on the OH Report this coming weekend, and then we got the pigskin. We'll wrap it all up Friday night.
But for now, on a Monday night, enjoy it. Enjoy the rest of your week. We'll be seeing you around at a stadium near you.
Brawl week, baby.
Victory Monday!